though it is a solanaceous crop, the major tuber crop is potato. So we all know that the family is Solanaceae and botanical name is Solanum tuberosum, and the chromosome number is 2n equals to 4x equals to 48, which is a autotetraploid, and the center of origin being South America or the Central Andria. Nextly, when we come to the scientific classification, nobody is going to ask us this in case of exam, but for general context, if you guys want to know, you just can make a note. And nextly, when these kind of questions, like in which century was the crop introduced to India, these kind of questions can be asked. If I'm not audible, if I'm not clear, do let me know. So yes, when was the crop introduced to the country is some certain questions are at times asked. So it was introduced from Europe in the 17th century. So this is something important. In the 17th century, some major crops, the year of the century of introduction is to be remembered. So if it came from Europe in the 17th century. And nextly, potatoes, we all know that it is a very important crop and also a staple food crop for many other parts of the world. So it is known that it is cultivated in more than 130 countries, and the name potato itself comes from the Irish word which is papa, and hence it is also called as Irish potato. And potatoes, bold, wild, and cultivated, are good for in situ survival. Like they have very high moisture content, very good starch content. So it is a reserve of starch. We all have to at times in some questions, like very crops which are generally thought to be having very less nutritive value, that kind of crops are at times they ask the nutritive content. Not in every crop, like if it is tomato, they will ask the vitamin C content, or the color compounds like carotene content or lycopene content. So if there is a crop, then if it is an important characteristic associated with the crop, they will ask certainly that kind of questions. And here in potato, we generally think it is full of starch. So in that case, the fiber content, the carbohydrate content, the vitamin C and potassium content, these three values or four values are important. Rest of the things you can ignore. But certainly vitamin C, protein, fiber, carbohydrates, and the potassium content, these five things you have to remember in rough manner. You can just remember these. And nextly, it is thought that 2.5 times more calories than wheat and rice. It provides 2.5 calories more, and average dry matter, energy, protein. This, like protein, you can see how much it is giving: 3.1 kg per hectare per day, which is a very high quantity compared to like when you talk about a crop like potato. Nextly, yeah. Nextly, the uses, we all have certainly know the uses of potato. That is not much to be discussed, but it is very rich in fiber. That is something we have to remember, that it contains, but except fat content is very meager. We just think if we eat potatoes we get fat, but no, fat content is less and dietary fiber is more, and it contains good amount of B complex with B1, B2, B6. Next, as I told you, like potassium will be, so those things which you cannot imagine it will be in the crops, that kind of things you have to remember. And nextly, those are very known facts, like lycopene content in tomato. So known facts should be remembered, other things we can leave it. And we have to know that, like, what are the alcoholic beverages that is prepared even in post harvest. You can read this in potato crop itself. We can, vodka is prepared from potato, and other dyes and adhesives in textile industries, thickeners and binders are prepared. And the juice of potato is dark in color due to the presence of citric and succinic acids. This is something you have to remember, that is citric and succinic acids. Next is, we know that it is consumed in various processing. So it is one of the, tomato is the number one processing vegetable, but after that the importance comes comes to our potato. And nextly, we know that many vegetable wastes or any organic wastes are used in the production of ethanol. So even our culled potatoes, all the waste or the surplus potatoes are used after to prepare ethyl alcohol and fuel alcohol. They are used to prepare. Next, we know that the different processed products that are prepared from our potatoes. When to coming to area and production, China ranks first, followed by Russia, Ukraine, and Poland, and India ranks fifth in area and production in the world. Whereas in India, again, highest area and production are in Uttar Pradesh, followed by West Bengal and Bihar, and the highest productivity is found in Gujarat. So China ranks first, India ranks fifth, Uttar Pradesh in India is first, and highest productivity is in Gujarat. So about 90% of the total area of potato is cultivated under subtropical plains, and only 6% in hills. Generally in instant and all, less than 5% they mention. So on an average basis, it is actually 6% in hills and 4% in plateau regions. So he'll not ask you this plateau region, that this peninsular region and all. What is the question that comes in exam is, most part of potatoes are cultivated around the river banks or the alluvial soil banks of Ganga, followed by how much percent it is grown in hills. It is less than some number that is almost near to 5-6. That is what you have to remember. Nextly, so more than 1500 species of potato are known, and about 90 species of them are tuber bearing, rest are not tuber bearing. And among those 90 species also, very few are actually cultivated. And why don't we cultivate the others? The others we don't cultivate because of the very high content of alkaloids present in them. And most of the genetic diversity is present in Andes regions of Peru and Bolivia. Why so? Because it is the presence of alkaloids in them. So they even glycoalkaloids, alkaloids, this kind of this term alkaloids also, you like sulfate, sulfite, you have to be very clear in the term that you're learning. Next list, this is a general vegetables. The Solanum genus is divided into two subclasses. One is Pachystenomum and Leptostenomum. Can anybody answer to me, like last time and all, I observed that there was a small buzzy sound that was coming when I was giving the lecture. Even now, is it coming, the buzzy sound? Anybody can reply?
No, ma'am, it's not coming now.
Okay then, yeah. The Solanum genus is divided into two subclasses, that is Pachystenomum and Leptostenomum. Among the Pachystenomum, which is again further divided into 5 sections, and among them the Petota section that contains the potato that we eat. So what is the edible genus? That is edible class, that is Pachystenomum. In Pachystenomum, we again have the section Petota, which we eat. So this Petota again is divided into two sub divisions, that is Estoloniferae and potato. So we again eat the tubers of the subsection potato. Nextly, so we should not be a layman when somebody says or uses the terms what is Pachystenomum, Leptostenomum, or Estoloniferae. So these are all the section and classes of subdivisions of the potato. The next is the potato. We have many abiotic and biotic stress resistant members or the species, that is Solanum dismissum. So these kind of things, generally the sources of resistance are asked in the exam. So Solanum dismissum, which is 2n equal, here the chromosome number has changed, so you need to remember that as well. Resistance to late blight, virus A and virus Y. Whereas Solanum stoloniferum, which is 2n equals to 48, which is resistance to virus X, frost, and Colorado beetle. So how many resistance sources are there? Oh my God, how do I remember all these kind of things? You need to keep your own cheat codes. There is no option for that. And nextly, not everybody is going to ask you about virus Y, virus A. So which is, they are not prevalent in India. So what is the major problem in India? People will ask you the same questions in exam. So they will ask you about late blight resistance. And because desmosome is one of the major source, that is an important one, and its chromosome number there you have to remember 2n equals to 72. Stoloniferum, again, you need not remember for the potato virus X, because that's not in India. Because having pest resistance is something that is more rare to find, because see, we everybody does breeding. Every center or any research station will be breeding for resistance to diseases when it comes to biotic stress. Then why not insects? Because whatever quality we want, the same quality even the insect prefers. We want a tomato with high TSS, even the insect wants a tomato with high TSS. It will feed on it. You want to breed for insect resistance, then you have to compromise with the quality. If you compromise with the quality, there is no use in breeding, because people will not come to buy the product. Such produce nobody is going to buy. So insect resistance is very difficult. So you can remember here this Stoloniferum for Colorado beetle, that okay, this is the main reason that I have to remember Stoloniferum. And Verni, which is 2n equals to 24, it is resistance to Heterodera nematode. And Multidisectum is again 2n equals to 24, and same Heterodera nematode. Antipovsky, late blight, this is not so important. Desmosome will be more important. And Curtilobum for frost. Fureja, which has non-dormant type of it has non-dormant type of tubers. So that's a very good character. So for Fureja, you will remember non-dormant type of character, and Chacoens for non-dormant along with tolerance to high temperature. Chacoens is nowadays been very much used in breeding programs of potato. So Chacoens you have to remember. And Anomalo calyx, Gemesi, and Saltens. So all of them are resistant to early blight. Nobody is going to, you might have also not heard, most of them might not have heard about this Anomalox or Gemesi or Saltens. Why? Because it is for resistance to early blight, and early blight is not a big problem in potato. So whatever exam questions, what will they ask? They will only ask you those questions which are practical utility. India, you have to just remember that thing. So all early blight is not a big issue when it comes to potato, but it is an issue in tomato, major issue in tomato. So you might not be hearing these resistant sources as well. Nextly, the cultivated potato belongs to Solanum tuberosum and has 154 wild species. And among them, mostly we see this Solanum andigenum and Solanum tuberosum. In many exams, they ask the difference between andigenum and tuberosum. So we not commonly seen, this is very commonly seen, the center of origin being Andia region, and for tuberosum, it is child region. Generally, andigenum is a short day plant, and whereas tuberosum that we usually cultivate is a long day plant. And nextly, it has narrow leaflets and wider leaflets. The only example that you can remember is Darjeeling Red Round, whereas here not only up to date but many other varieties are there that you can remember.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes.
Ma'am, do we have to learn these number of wild species like
Yes.
154? We have to learn the number like 154 wild species, and earlier we
Can
studied
you type your question, please?
Yeah, okay, ma'am.
Yeah, because voice is breaking for me. I don't know if my voice is clear to you guys or not, but your voice is actually breaking for me.
Ma'am, chat is disabled. So
Not how many number of wild species and all is not required. It's not required, but in general sense, you just need to read it, but not required. Nobody is going to ask you like how many are there. If it is so very important crop, at times like the wild relatives, if you have the worstest question paper, you get some such kind of questions, but no, not at all required how many wild species are there and all kind of things. No, don't worry about that. Nextly, coming to the botany. So what is a potato tuber? So it is the swollen stolons, the tips of the roots, which are the stolons, that is the edible, like the root system is stolen system. And nextly, the adventitious root system is present. So potato has an adventitious root, and it is a short-lived perennial. Why it is short-lived, yet it is a perennial. Nextly, the stems and leaves, this is all not very required. You all know how potato plant is. But the only thing you need to know is like stems are green or purple. So you also have a variant of purple in it. And generally they don't ask these like compound, pinnate, alternate, but you just remember it. You have to know how a potato actually, like somebody asks you to describe the botany, you have to know. Flower inflorescence is something more important. So it is a monocacial cymose inflorescence, which has 5 stamens, 5 petals, and 5 sepals. This is a very characteristic feature of all the Solanaceae, with 5 stamens, 5 petals, and 5 sepals. And the flower color also, it is generally white, off-white to purple color present. This is monocacial cymose inflorescence. That very point is important. And nextly, all the flowers are when coming to fruit and seeds. So generally the seed fruit itself is globular, round. We can see it looks like something like Solanum torvum. So globular or oval, green or purplish berries are present. Generally they are green with purple tinge in them. When they ripe, they turn complete purple as well. And the potato seeds, we can see they are very small, comparatively smaller than the brinjal and the tomato. The ball is called as potato ball, potato apple, or the seed apple. And what is the toxic compound that is present is glycoalkaloids in them. That's the reason why we don't consume the fruits of potato. So here in potato tuber, generally we have two, which is a stem tuber. We all know it's the stolen. The stolen, it's a stem tuber. So it is a modification of stem. We have two ends, which is the end A and the end B. So you can see the scar at the end A, which represents the attachment to the mother. So the point, the A side is that point of the potato tuber which is attached to the mother, whereas the other part that is there, that so we have lot of dots, eyes present on the potato. Not only eyes, but we can see that the pores overall the potato, we can see small minute pores that are very clearly visible. Those pores are nothing but the lenticels. So which is that is for transpiration. That's the reason it has very big lenticels, that the rate of transpiration, respiration is very high. Nextly, the B side, when we talk about the B side, which is the other terminal bud, from where you get most of the sprouts. So where the point it is attached to the mother, there you don't get many sprouts, but the terminal bud or the sprouts generally arise from the part B of the potato. It's just the small like amyloplast, the starch grain that is present in the potato. Nextly, there are different growth stages that are present. So growth, first stage is the sprout development. So this stage begins when the sprout developing from the soil and ends with the emergence from the soil. Like when the tuber itself is inside the soil and it has started sprouting and it starts visibly up over the soil, then that is sprout development. For this, like here, complete consumption of energy, like all the starch or the energy that is stored in the potato is utilized for the sprout development. The second stage is the vegetative development. It lasts for 1 to 2 like it is the second stage. 1 to 2 stage lasts from 30 to 70 days. That is important. The vegetative phase or the vegetative development occurs from 30 to 70 days. This is the stage where the other factors like the age, physiological age, the tuber condition, health, everything matters, because it is the vegetative growth that is occurring. Only point you have to remember, it is like 30 to 70 days, nothing else. Nextly, the growth stage 3 is the tuber, which approximately lasts for only 2 weeks. Here you have to know a differentiation between tuber set or initiation and tuber bulking. Tuber set means it only for 2 weeks it sits. All the number of tubers a plant can give, it will set at the same time. It's not like any other in chili or tomato, what you do, if you pinch, it'll again start flowering. If the plant grows, all the axillary buds start again and again start flowering. But in potato, it's only for a 2 week period, where how many ever potato tubers it has to bear, it will set. After the setting, tuber bulking is a condition where all the photosynthetic assimilates get into the set tubers and the tuber starts growing. So afterwards, there is no setting in the stage, like up to only for 2 weeks it will set. After that, it is only bulking, it is just growing, but it's not multiplying, it's not increasing in number. It is just the cell size that increases, but not the number of cells. That is also here. And nextly, maturation is nothing but visibly the upper part of the potato plant gets wilted. We can visually see it's a maturity index, and that means the vines start dying, and we know that the potato tuber is ready. Nextly, classification. So based on how early this all process of this 5-step development completes, is given in three sections, is divided into three sections. One is early varieties, mid-season varieties, and late season varieties. The early seasons complete all this process within 70 to 80 days, the mid-season takes 90 to 95 days, and the late season varieties take about 100 to 120 days. So depending upon the environmental conditions and the weather conditions that the climatic conditions that we stay in, we choose the varieties to be grown. So what are the early varieties? Kufri Alankar, which is having resistance to leaf roll and late blight. So Alankar, you need to remember only late blight. And nextly, Kufri Chandramukhi, you have to remember because Kufri Kubar is a parent. If the one of the parent is important, then we have to remember the cross. That is selection 4485 into Kufri Kubar. So it gives high yields, cooks easily, and does not degenerate easily in plains. And it is resistant to potato leaf roll. Not leaf roll and all are not important. The only thing, and yield, especially yield and all kind of things, are not at all important, because it changes with the condition that you're growing. Only thing that is important here is the cross, exam point of view. Why? Because one of the parent, that is Kufri Kubar, is which is resistant to black scarf, is important. So we will remember this cross. We will remember Kufri. And Kufri Jawahar, again, you have to remember because Kufri Neelmani and Kufri Jyoti, both of them are very important varieties. So the parents are important, then you have to remember. And it is also an early season. We are discussing all the early season ones, right? Here, the another important point is the with this Kufri Jawahar, and nextly Kufri Lavkar. Next, after Kufri Lavkar, which is also like Kufri Lavkar, you just know that it is a variety of potato, that and it is an early season variety. That is enough for you. Kufri Jyoti, which is widely adapted and very responsive to fertilizers, which is resistant to late blight as well, and resistance to wart and Sarcospora leaf spot also. So Jyoti has many resistance along with the fertilizer responsibility and wide adaptability. Adaptability is something very important as well. So Kufri Jyoti. And Kufri Jyoti was a parent of Jawahar. So we will remember the cross of Jawahar. So nextly, the mid-season varieties. When it comes to mid-season varieties, Kufri Lalima, that is Kufri Red into AG 14. You need not remember the cross here. Nextly, why the name itself says it's Lalima, so it might be having red skin. The flush will be white only, but the skin is red in color. And it is gradually now been replaced by Kufri Sindhuri. Lalima has been replaced by Sindhuri, so no need to remember the cross there. Kufri Satlaj, again you have to remember the cross here because Kufri Bahar and Kufri Alankar both are important with specific characters. So we have to remember this Kufri Satlaj cross, Kufri Bahar into Kufri Alankar, that is resistance to late blight. Comparatively, yield is also high. Nextly, Kufri Fakraj. Again, Fakraj is to be remembered. Why? Because of the Craig's defense. That is important. So Craig's defense into JEX 8687, which is moderately resistant to late blight. Kufri Chipsona 1, Kufri Chipsona 2. Again, Chipsona 2 is more important for making French fries compared to Kufri Chipsona 1. Both of them, name itself says chip, so they are suitable for processing. Nextly, Kufri Badshah, name itself says it's Badshah, so it has multiple resistance to late blight, early blight, and potato virus X. Kufri Jyoti into Kufri Alankar. Nextly, Kufri Sadabahar, which is name itself says Sadabahar. So it is very widely acceptable, and it is replacing the Kufri Bahar these days. Nextly, the Kufri Anand. So Anand, you just Anand, okay, Anand, it's a white skinned potato. That is enough. And nextly, Kufri Sinduri, which has been replacing the Kufri Lalima, as I mentioned in the earlier slides. So this is a cross between Kufri Red into Kufri Kanchan. You have to remember the cross here. You have no option. And Sinduri is a red colored variety with resistance to late blight. So cross is Kufri Red into Kufri Kanchan, which gives Kufri Sinduri. Nextly, late maturing varieties. If you come, the Kufri, which was 100% more yield compared to other varieties which it has been developed from, that is the Great Scott. And Kufri Naveen, which is again very high responsive to the fertilizers, as in case of the Kufri Jyoti, which possesses resistance to late blight, wart, and Cercospora leaf spot. Nextly, Kufri Jeevan, which is good for processing and resistance to Cercospora, late blight, and all kind of things. But you can see here, Jeevan, we generally don't see Gypsona 1, Gypsona 2, all kind of things only we remember when it comes to processing. But you have to know here that Kufri Jeevan is used for processing, and Kufri Megha, which is used for the northeastern hilly conditions, and it is resistant to late blight. Most of them you can see it is resistant to late blight, late blight, late blight. Why? Because it's a major problem. And here we have some of the processing varieties, that is Kufri Frysona and Kufri Himsona. Himsona, him itself says that hilly region, so it is something that is adapted to hilly regions, whereas Frysona name, both of them are processing only, which is suitable for making French fries. And nextly, we can see here the Kufri Giridhari. Again, Giridhari means it is adapted to hilly conditions. Here it is Kufri Nilima. We have all earlier seen Nil Mani. This is Nilima. Try to read things more clearly so that you remember it well. And it is suited for southern hills. That is the major point here. Nilima is suitable for southern hills. For table purpose, so Kufri Khyati, Arka Khyati is also a variety of, Arka Khyati is a variety of chili. So Kufri Sadabahar, Kufri Garima, Kufri Gaurav. No need to remember all the specificities, not much specificities. Nextly, we can see here the color variants. It's the golden yellow to red to purple color present in the potato. See, we can see these are all exotic, not Indian and all. So when coming to the agroclimatic conditions, the growing season is a cool season crop. We all know that potato is a cool season crop, with the temperature ranging from 17 to 25 degrees, where the 17 to 25 degrees is good for germination and vegetative growth. But for tuberization, comes down, that is 17 to 19 degrees. General crop duration is said to be 90 days, 80 to 90 days. But again, we have early, mid, late. But when it asks potato crop duration, then you have to go for 80 to 90 only, because it's an average and general range. Not everybody is going to grow late season varieties. So nextly, photo period. So we all know that potato is a long day crop which is grown for vegetative growth. It needs long day conditions, and for tuber formation it requires short day conditions. Here we can see the effect of soil temperature on the root development, where under 10 degrees Celsius, when at low temperatures, there's no proper advantageous root development. But it is very ideal when it comes to, that's why we were saying 17 to 25 degrees is ideal. At 20 degrees it is so good. At 25 degrees also it's okay. But 30 degrees and 35 degrees, again it is deteriorating. It is worse. 30 degrees is very bad than the 15 degrees, you can see. So 17 to 25 degrees is said to be the and coming to the pH, 5.5 to 6.5 is very important. Why? Because under alkaline conditions you get the problem of scab. So 5.5 to 6.5, which is almost keeping it acidic in nature. And general planting, when it is an early crop, or main crop and late crop. So generally you have only one option that you have to grow, that in a cool season, that is in the winter season. And others like autumn and spring, not much preferred, but in conditions where cool temperatures prevail, you also go for the autumn and spring conditions. But the only answer when you get in the exam, you have to put is cool season or winter season only. And the planting time being early, main and late. In the early, whatsoever the condition is, you start from September, because you just imagine when the winters start in general context, September. And September, October, you at the end of September to first week of October, when the main crop is October to like within October, and late crop is from October last week to November first week. So whatsoever, you have to complete the crop before January itself. Means by middle of January only you have to complete it. If you want to complete it middle of January, on an average basis, the crop is 90 days crop. So you have to go at least before November to complete sowing. You have to complete sowing before November itself. So the common sense itself says that it has to be done before November. But also you have to sow before after the winter starts. So maximum it should be at the end of September to the starting of November, you are completing all the though it is early, main or late, you are completing your sowing practice. So again, I'm repeating, this can be asked in questions in your exam. That is, early season crop is last week of September to first week of October, and main crop in October, and the late season crop from last week of October to the first week of November. And in hilly conditions where the temperatures are very low, so they cannot, already winters will be very severe, that the crop growth cannot occur properly. So you go for summer planting, that is February to March, April. And the dormancy is one of the biggest issues when it comes to potato tubers. Even after harvesting, you cannot directly use them for sowing. Like in chili, if the fruit is already red ripe, you can just pluck the fruit, extract the seeds, just put in the soil, you'll get the germination within 3 to 4 days. But potato tubers, it's not like that. So the time taken from harvest to initiation of next sprouting, is called as dormancy. So from the date to harvest to the date it shows sprouting, it is sprouting, means it has broken the dormancy, the physiologically activity has come into place. So to break the dormancy, we generally go for thiourea or sodium potassium thiocyanate at the rate of 1 to 2% for 1 to 1.5 hours. Or else you can also dip the tubers in GA3 solution for 10 seconds. So this is GA3 is generally asked in your exams, and that will be for 10 seconds. Remember, 10 seconds. And in case they are asking thiourea, that the next thing is they will ask thiourea, that is 1 to 2% for 1 to 1.5 hours. Next, coming to the propagation, we all know that potato itself is propagated in the form of tubers, the cut eyes, like at least 2 to 3 eyes should be there. And whole potato is used for sowing. If not whole potato, if the size of the potato is too big, then we cut into pieces even. So generally the potato dormancy itself is for 8 to 10 weeks. So after harvesting, at least you have to wait for, you cannot directly go for sowing, as the potato has several eyes and each eye is a bud, we know that. So we have to take such a cut that the tuber, at least like the piece you are taking, is at least having 2 to 3 eyes in it. And what the potatoes should be very well cured. If you're going whatsoever process it is, the potato has to be very well cured and stored. Then there will be a good amount of periderm formation, which is also called as suberization. What is suberization? The brown skin formation. Immediately after you take out from the soil, it's not going to be brown. So it will start wound healing. It will start the development of the brown colored peel, that is called suberization, or the wound periderm formation. So for that to occur, after proper curing, also proper storage is important. That is 10 to 15 degrees for at least 4 to 5 days. You have to give them a period of rest. And those tubers having 35 to 40 grams weight are ideal for sowing. So you remember that they'll ask many, like small tuber size, medium sized or large tuber size. There are many variants, but in that also you only think that if there is only one chance and one option, that is 35 to 40 grams should be your answer.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yeah. Yes.
Ma'am, what is suberization?
Suberization or periderm formation is like when you dig out the potato after the maturation, the potato will not have the brown skin that you see in the market. In the market, if you take the potato, you will have a brown color skin present over the potato peel. But generally, that will not be white after harvest. If you have seen or not seen, but it will be generally pale white in color and full of mud. So what you do is and while harvesting also, because it is underground, there are chances that many wounds may occur to the potato tuber while digging. Or whenever there is chance of some wounds also to form. So just for the wounds to heal and also to control the rate of respiration, the presence of peel is one kind of respiration barrier also. So suberization is a process by which you are controlling the rate of respiration by letting its wounds to heal, to form a upper layer or an upper peel formation. That brown peel formation is nothing but suberization. It is a process by which the respiration also actually comes into a balance. Yeah, I can continue.
Okay, okay, ma'am. And what is the progenitor of the potato?
Potato progenitor, it is leptophytus, or even in many books you may see stenotomum.
Yes,
Stenotomum.
ma'am. Why?
Stenotomum by itself has been, actually there is a big chain of progenitor. For if you take a big chain of progenitors, in which Leptotopus was the most ancient potato species from which the Stenotomum itself has originated. And from this Stenotomum, the cultivated potato that we are eating today has originated. So if you have an option, you don't have an option of Stenotomum, then you go for Leptophytus. None of them are wrong. Even like saying both of them are very much correct. So there nothing is wrong. Leptophytus is also correct. Stenotomum is also correct. In
Ma'am,
exam,
if both options are given, then what we have to choose?
both options are given. You show me if both options are given. No, both options. No, both options will not be given. 99% they will not be given. If they are given, then we can also oppose the question. If the key says it's stenotomum, you can oppose the question. You can just object the question to the. You can ask the question to the ICR. If so, also for safe side, if you want to go, mark for stenotomum. Sorry, mark for stenotomum. That is the safest answer. But I don't think they will give both the options anytime. You can just check if any question paper, old question paper, or question banks have given. So if you get it, do WhatsApp. Huh? I don't think
Okay,
they'll be given.
okay, okay, ma'am.
Yeah. Nextly, the micropropagation. So asexually propagated crops, the sexual crops. So when one of the major majorly tissue cultured crop is potato, but this is not so important. But you can see that in potato has come, where potato seed production is a key role. There are mini tubers, mini sets, these kind of terms will be used. Like proper means you need not know what is the micropropagation of potato for exam point of view, but the thing you have to know is mini tubers, mini sets are the terms that are used for propagation modes of potato only. So potato is propagated by seed, tubers, mini sets. Then the answer should be all of the above. Just to know that I have put this, or else this is not important. Microtubers. So all these words, terms are important. Nextly, we know that it is sown in ridges and furrows with 50 centimeters of the spacing. And not 50 centimeters only, depending upon the area and the cultivar, the spacing can be altered, but you have to remember like 50 to 60. If there is no option of 60, you go for 50, but it is generally 60 into 20, 60 into 30 centimeters. Even flatbeds is used, ridges and furrows are used. If ridges, then potato is sown in the ridge or a furrow. So potato is sown in the side of the ridge. Nextly, the small, medium, and large sized tubers. So there are three different classifications when you go for sowing, where the small tubers size is 2.5 to 3.5, continuation 3.5 to 5 centimeters, again continuation 5 to 6 centimeters. So 2.5 to 3.5, 3.5, 5 to 6, which is again seed rate will be 10 to 15, 15 to 20, 20 to 30 quintals. And spacing being, because it's small, so the row to row spacing will be the same, that is 60 centimeters, but the plant to plant will vary with 20, 25 and 40 centimeters respectively. Very, very important when it comes to theory type of questions in ARS exams and all kind of things. They will pakka ask the seed rate and spacing, because they'll provide you a very small space and they'll ask you to write the production technology of potato. Then you need to just mention the stable, just the pH, like that, and this is very important, you have to remember. Next, field preparation and all are very common, and because potato, it grows under the soil, so you cannot do anything after the crop is sown. So whatever you have to give as a pre-emergence only, that you have to remember. So if anything you have to give for the insect pests also, aldrin or heptachlor, you have to give 45 to 50 kg per hectare for tuber infested pests. That is to do before the sowing itself, that is at the time of last ploughing. And nextly, coming to the nutrient management, whatsoever crop it is, and half of N and K are applied at the last sowing, and only again in split doses you go for giving the N and K, other remaining N and K. This what is the ratio of NPK, it's not required. Even if it is you are preparing for ARS exam, then you can just learn it, but this is not important. These are also the micronutrients, which is also not important for you. Nextly, the cultural practices, very important, that is hilling or earthing up or ridging. So whatsoever it is like not only always earthing up, but hilling and ridging are also the same synonyms of the term. So you, as the picture itself indicates, that you need to just put up the soil over the tubers, so that the tubers are not exposed to the sunlight, and the tubers, if they are exposed to sunlight, they turn green in color due to the formation of the pigment chlorophyll. So which not only forms chlorophyll, but also the alkaloid content also increases rapidly when it is exposed to the sun. So we need to cover the tubers. Even we have seen the same practice which is done in leek, but it was called blanching there, but here it is called earthing up. So you just need to know complete crop, then you have to understand the crop, then it will be very easy to learn things. Rest of the things are very memorizing, like ancestors or the scientific names and all, but if you understand the crop, it's very good and easy. So mulching and all, organic, inorganic, that's not important. And very important thing when it comes to potato is you have to remember the pre-emergence herbicides, but not the post-emergent herbicides. So flucloraline, alchlor and pendimethalin, the rate they will not ask. If it is AFO exam, like agriculture field officer, SO bank exam, then they will ask these kind of questions, like how much pre-emergent herbicide, or which pre-emergent herbicide, how much quantity will you spray exam. But for our JRF SRF point of view, they will not ask such questions. But mostly if anybody in general asks you also, that is potato, you go for pre-emergence herbicides than post-emergence herbicides. Nextly, coming to the irrigation, what is the most important point in irrigation? That should be the critical stages of irrigation you have to know, and it is stolon formation, tuber initiation and the tuber development. So the three stages of growth are very important: stolon formation, tuber initiation and tuber development. And you have to stop irrigation just before 10 days of the harvesting or maturity. And it's not maturity but harvesting. 10 days before harvesting you have to stop your irrigation. And again, in tuber initiation or tuber set, what is the important stage of irrigation? 25% of the tuber formation stage is very crucial again. So it's the general irrigation. So vine killing, so we all know that potato, so in onion what happened, it should show at least 15% of top should fall by itself, then we start the process of harvesting. But in potato again, if the vine is not dying by itself, we kill the vine. So a few days, that is 10 to 12 days before harvest, if the vine is not dying by itself, there we can go for killing of the vine. Why do you kill the vine? First point is the bulking of the vine will bulking of the potato will stop there. If the bulking stops, the growth comes to a cease, then the potato tuber, okay, I'll not be getting more food, I can just close my close my system, the potato itself gets an indication that it has to stop growing, and not after like the point of saturation comes where it does not grow as well actually. So if you kill the vine, there is also a kind of suberization occurring there also, like it will start.
Ma'am,
Yes.
ma'am, is it also called deholming of?
Dehalming, the term dehalming is also vine killing, but not vine killing is dehalming. I hope you can get the meaning. Like in dehalming, the practice of dehalming, we do the process of vine killing only. Like we remove the upper portion of the plant. That is a practice that is done for which. Why do we do for it? Sorry, why do we do it? Hmm? For which like when you do for
Ma'am, for
seed plot
harvesting.
technique, then you do the yeah. Chip. Sorry. Yeah, tell me. For seed plot technique.
Yes. Ma'am, what is the difference between this?
Am I audible now? Hello?
Yes, ma'am.
We'll continue then.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Just a second. Arushi, you are the host actually. Can you just go to the options and make me the host?
Ma'am, I can try options from more.
You just click on my name. There is an option called more. In that,
Okay.
you can make me host.
Done, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, ma'am.
Uh, so yes. So even the late blight spores cannot, like if you're killing the vine itself, the vegetative portion, the late blight spores cannot be, they cannot grow, they cannot travel, they cannot again grow on the tubers as well. So you're eliminating all the chances that your tubers are infected. So by that you are safeguarding your crop from later storage and other processes also. What happens if you don't kill the vine, the growth process will be in continuation only. If the growth is continuing, means the physiological activity is very much high in the potato tuber. It is respiring, it is having all the activity. In that stage, if you remove the tuber and if you store also, it will get rotted, it will not store well. So when you are stopping the vine ki chalo, you stop here growing, then the tuber itself stops all the physiological activity and it will only be doing one activity, that